The A1 is the latest chapter in Audi's bid to contest as many areas of the car market as possible. In many ways, it's an obvious car for Audi to make, since small is very definitely beautiful in terms of economy and emissions at the moment. It competes with cars like the Mini Hatch, the Fiat 500 and the Alfa Romeo Mito, so it has to be good. The A1 launched with a choice of three engines, 1.2 and 1.4 litre TFSI petrol power plants, and this, a 1.6 turbo diesel. Strangely for a small car, Audi reckons the diesel will be the big seller, while its research also suggests most A1s will be bought by men. The interior is familiar Audi territory, with soft-touch plastics giving a quality feel to the dash, and white-on-black instruments. A decent sound system is included as standard, as is air conditioning, although I thought the rear-view mirror was a bit on the small side. Space in the rear isn't bad for such a small car, with the A1 having better legroom than some of its competitors. Talking of space, lifting the rear hatch reveals a fairly decent boot, with a floor that lifts to reveal a first aid kit, a tyre inflation kit, since there's no spare wheel, and, strangely, the battery. The A1 comes with a decent amount of kit included, although Audi will happily personalise your car for you, with this roof contrast line, for example, costing £350. It's pretty obvious that Audi is aiming for a certain type of customer with the A1. At the press conference at the car's launch, there were lots of references to iPhones and iPads, and the word premium was, if anything, a little overused. It's hard to ignore the fact that the A1 is expensive compared to the opposition, but in these days of downsizing, that clearly hasn't bothered Audi. What's more, residual values for the A1 are predicted to be the best in its class, so when you factor that into the equation, the car won't actually cost that much more to own than the equivalent Mini. The driving experience could probably best be described as competent. We tried both the 1.4 litre TFSI and the TDI, and while the turbocharger in both cars helped, neither could be described as sporty. That's probably because there'll be an S1 Quattro coming along towards the end of 2011, and so Audi would rather you wait for that if you want a hot hatch. Ride and handling, as you'd expect from Audi, are excellent. The company mentioned that they'd aimed for a big car feel while driving the A1, and to my mind they've achieved that. In fact, my only gripe with the way the car drives is the power steering. It doesn't really give you much feedback, although that's a fairly familiar criticism of some Audis. Where the car really comes into its own, as I've already touched upon, is running costs. Both the petrol engines will return over 50 mpg, while this turbo diesel will eke out over 70 miles to the gallon. Emissions figures are equally as impressive, with the TDI putting out just 105 grams per kilometre of CO2. Looks-wise, Audi has stuck with the familiar, which should please the majority of potential buyers. Yes, it looks like an A3 at first glance, but that's no bad thing. The A3, after all, is Audi's biggest seller. The A1, incidentally, is predicted to be number 3 in the Audi sales figures, behind the A3 and the A4, and early orders suggest that a lot of buyers will tick quite a few of the boxes on the options list. That, to be honest, is our only other criticism of the A1. Costly Audi extras are something we've mentioned before, but the cars we tested were both pushing 20 grand, and that's asking a lot for such a small car. But the A1, as Audi kept repeating, is a premium small car, and buyers will have to fork out for the prestige of owning one. Cars will be built to order, which will mean a waiting list, but that doesn't seem to have put people off. Every one of the 2,000 earmarked for the UK in 2010 is already spoken for, which suggests that selling the 18,000 or so that Audi predict will be sold here each year shouldn't be that hard. Once again, it seems, Audi has another winner on its hands.